Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Wilson Wealth Show. I'm your host, Ciera, and today I have Maurice with me. How you doing, Maurice?
Doing good, Sierra. I am counting down to the last days of a nice yard. It's that time of year where you're watering your grass and telling yourself it's going to be okay when that first big heat wave comes through. And I'm just really going to miss my grass, is all I'm saying. So I'm in a good place now, but I think by the next recording, I'm going to have a brown field outside, but
Oh,
that's
I
what it means to live in the
know.
South. Now, that's if you have fescue. Now, you may have Bermuda. I think Bermuda does well. Bermuda holds up, but not to make this a show about landscaping, but fescue, fescue does not do well in the summertime.
Welcome to the Wilson Wealth Show, a thought provoking show about building wealth in the new economy. Each week, members of the Wilson Wealth team and their guests will discuss how to navigate the world of personal finance, stocks, real estate, and entrepreneurship to help you build wealth in the new economy. And now, here is your host, Ciera McCosh.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. Today, we are talking about our final installment in the Alternative Home series, Kit Homes. Kit homes are essentially mail-order houses delivered in parts by a manufacturer and stick-built on the property by either you or a contractor. They are a very cheap way to build anything from a bungalow to a 3-story house, depending on what you want. This is a far cheaper option than having a contractor source the materials themselves.
Now, what do you mean by stick-built homes?
Okay, yes, that is a good question. So, for those of you who don't know, stick built just means built on site. The manufacturer brings everything that you need to build the house, from the wood down to the siding, all in the exact measurements that you need, and either you or a contractor just puts it together.
So unlike the tiny homes that we talked about before and the container homes that we talked about last week, go to wilsonwealth.com, check out all our podcasts. We did container homes last week. Quick plug. All you are getting from the manufacturer here is the materials, and then it's up to you to get a contracting team to put it together. I'm assuming you have to get a building plan as well. So something like HGTV without the experience of the Property Brothers.
Right, exactly. So it's pretty simple. Basically, you pick a design that you want from a specific manufacturer. There are a lot out there. And they come over, they deliver all of the pre-cut materials, and you can put together your dream home. This is what I would say is the closest thing to a traditional home build from everything that we've done in our Alternative Home series. It's just a far easier and cheaper way to build your own home, and there are actually directions on each piece. So it literally just feels like you're putting together a dollhouse. It's kind of cool.
All right, so it's a new trend that people are starting to hop on because it seems so simple. Like, how have people not done this before?
Right. So funny you should say that, because this is not brand new at all. I thought it was. I thought this was like a new trend, and I was like really excited about it. But I did do a little bit of research, and the concept of kit homes has been around since like the 20th century, early 20th century. Over 100,000 kit homes were built between 1908 and 1940. And get this, according to the University of Maryland archivist, sorry if I say that wrong, Sears was the biggest kit home manufacturer from that era.
That's crazy. I mean, because
Sears.
Sears is just like a failing. Well, I don't know if they're failing. I shouldn't say they're failing, but Sears is almost like Kmart now. So it's just crazy.
Yeah.
I used to work at a Sears in high school during the holiday season. I would cut keys and do inscriptions on ornaments for holiday shoppers. So that's crazy how big Sears was back in the day. So I can see them selling houses.
Yeah, it's crazy. I've never even been in a Sears, to be honest. Like, I think that was a little before my time.
that is the millennial indictment. I've never been back. Nobody wants to hear that your target market has never been in your store.
I mean, it's true, but like, I know what Sears is. Everybody knows what Sears is. It was so freaking huge. And could you imagine buying a house from Sears? Like, but I will do you one better. Guess, you have one guess.
Mhm.
Guess what company is selling kit houses online?
I'm going to go with Amazon.
Oh, wow. Imagine that. You are correct. Amazon, of all places, is selling tiny house kits for under $20,000. But honestly, I would do your research because you can get a full-size home from some of these manufacturers for like a way better price per square foot.
Oh, all right. So what's the average price per square foot on these homes?
Fantastic question. So on average, you are looking at about $30 per square foot, but it can be as low as 10 and more of like a bare bones house, or as high as 60 depending on what amenities you add.
Okay. So back in the napkin math, we're looking at about 110 per square foot as the national average. That's not bad.
Yeah. For regular houses, $110 per square foot is the national average. So can you imagine only paying a third of the price
Right.
for the
Right.
exact same house? Like, why wouldn't you do it?
Well, I'm sure, as has been the standard with these episodes recently, there's an upside and a downside. So go ahead and give us the downside.
All right. Well, we'll start with the downsides, but I promise it's not terrible. So there are delivery limits. Most manufacturers have a delivery limit of about 750 miles, give or take. So if you prefer the floor plans offered at a manufacturer in Utah, but you live in Texas, you'll have to pay a pretty expensive delivery fees to receive the kit. Another issue is location. Kit homes may not be cheaper than contractor produced homes if you live in a rural or less expensive area of the country. If you live in a metropolitan area, a kit home is unquestionably cheaper. And the last one is lack of standards. So the industry is in a new boom. Like I said, it is an old industry, but we're bringing it back. So that means nothing has been standardized industry-wide or regulated by the HUD. A full kit may include a foundation and an interior design from one company, while for another, it won't even include the drywall. So you got to do your research on that.
Oh, okay. Anything good?
So there's a lot more good, I promise. Here's a breakdown of the pros. Cost is the biggest one, of course. Kit homes are typically cheaper than general contractor traditional home builds for a number of reasons, which we've gone into a little bit. Quick delivery. Kit home manufacturers can typically get the entire kit organized and delivered within weeks, which is crazy if you really think about it. Rapid construction, because every piece is pre-cut, labeled with directions on how to assemble the house, it can be built significantly more quickly and accurately. So it's less prone to mistakes, which is really, really nice. That's very common when you're building a house. Customization is another big one. The biggest benefit to building any home from the ground up is bringing a homeowner's customized dream home to life. And finally, it's a new home. Kit homes are just as durable as any other stick-built homes and easily last 50 plus years. And you get to be the first inhabitant, so there shouldn't be any issues, you know?
Definitely. Yeah, pros sound good.
The pros sound pretty good.
Yeah,
I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. I guess I'll go get my Amazon Prime, and give it a whirl. I think I got some credit card points on there or something.
There you go. Amazon delivery day points.
There you go.
So, Maurice, do you have any of our much needed financial advice?
So, a lot of this is going to boil down to how a person's wired. There are a lot of ways to save money. And so it's all about kind of what you're willing to go through. Everybody can't downsize. Everybody can't do some of the DIY aspects of this process. So if you aren't that person, don't start this process because you're going to wind up spending more money because you're going to stop midway through, have to unwind whatever you have to do to get this thing off the ground, and then go get a more traditional house. So I would say know yourself first. It's kind of subjective. It's not really a hard, hey, if you make this much money, get a kit home. If you make this much money, get a traditional. How are you wired? Who are you as a person? Like, can you put up with some of the more but banal aspects of this process to get to to moving you and your family in. And if you know yourself and this fits what you like, then by all means, save some money, get that 110 a square foot, and invite us to the party when you move in. We'll bring a plant.
Bring a plant. I love that. I love that. And just to clarify, 110 a square foot is just for the traditional home, and on average 30 a square foot is for these kit homes. So
oh wow, okay,
way better.
Yeah,
way better.
There you go. Get you.
I gotta let them know. Let them know. You're saving a lot of money. That's a third of the price.
That's true. That's true.
I'm just saying, like, I'm kind of into this. Like, I know I've said this every episode because we did tiny homes. We did container homes.
I'm going to let you in on something. You should be into it because you fit the demographic.
I do.
Again, going into the knowing yourself. So it's all going to be about, in fact, I'll tell you, I stopped helping people move in or out of stuff in terms of housing or apartments around early 30s. Because you just stood a greater chance of getting injured and not recover. But in my 20s, hey, let's get a pizza, let's move people in. And so are you that type of person? If you're still helping people move into their apartments and their houses, then a kit home might work for you. If you aren't, you may want to get a container home or just go ahead and get you a traditional house because it's going to be about where you are in life and how you are just wired as a person.
No, it's true. If you're more hands-on and saving money is your biggest thing, which I would say a lot of people in their 20s, maybe early 30s, it's all about the saving money. I feel like when you get a little older, you get a little bit more hands-off. Like, I want this. I don't care how it happens. I'll pay the money. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But when you're younger, you're like, I want this. And the only way it's possible to get this is if I do it myself.
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of the mentality. And yeah, you're right. I am the demographic for this because this sounds pretty freaking great to me. Get a plot of land, get a kit home, build it easy. I won't be doing it myself. I'm not that I'm not that good. But I mean, if this works for our millennials and our older Gen Z, do your research, go for it. Make sure you check obviously zoning regulations. This one is a little bit less strict because it is technically a traditional home. You're just building it. You're like taking a shortcut to build it. It's not like a container home or a tiny home where it's going to look off from the other homes. It's going to look the same as a traditional home. So you shouldn't have that many issues. My only big advice is to make sure you do your research about where you are and the land that you have to put on it so that you know what foundation to put down. I mean, the last thing you want is for this house to go down, That kind of eliminates the money that you're saving.
and that is always the downside when you're cutting, or potential downside when you're cutting costs is, what's your margin for error? Is it a foundational error, or is it simply an error with the roof? I mean, but bad things happen even with custom home builders, expensive home builders. Things just go. It's still humans involved, so nothing's 100%. So.
Absolutely. I will say that this option does kind of cut down on error a little bit, considering there are literal directions on each piece. Like, it's kind of hard to mess it up. It's not,
that's true.
You could probably get, I feel like you and your dad maybe could do it, depending on the size. Like, I know personally, like, my dad built his own tiny home with no plans or anything like that. And he was perfectly fine. It works. Nothing's happened, So,
well, yeah. And I did interrupt you. So, but if you go back to what you said earlier, Sears did 100K of these, you said, back in the early days?
100,000 of them.
So you've got precedent. Those homes are still standing somewhere.
They are. Yeah. I mean, they say they last about 50 plus years, but it's guaranteed for 50, which is pretty good. Like, I mean, I'm not going to want to live anywhere more than 50 years. Honestly, I probably don't want to live anywhere more than 5. So make sure that you build a house that's also got resale value.
Basically.
Yeah.
I definitely recommend moving every 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, same. Make some money off of it. If it's not an investment, what's the point?
Yeah. Don't fall in love with your house. Unless it's the family home, but I've never seen the neighborhood stay the same for 30 years. So
No,
Yeah.
no, it's best to move around. But, we could always get into that in another podcast. We'll save that advice.
Podcast.
That's another podcast.
Yeah, how often should you move? Maybe that's the one that puts
There we go. You know what? Next week on the Wilson Wealth Show, how often should you move?
Move. Yes, I like that. That's
all
a good
right.
one.
Yeah. With all that being said, thank you all for listening. Please visit us at www.wilsonwealth.com, on Instagram and Twitter at Wilson Wealth, and on Facebook, www.facebook.com/Wilson Wealth, for more information about us and the company. We'll see you guys next week on the Wilson Wealth Show. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Wilson Wealth Show, a thought-provoking show about building wealth in the new economy. Each week, members of the Wilson Wealth team and their guests will discuss how to navigate the world of stocks, real estate, and entrepreneurship to help you build wealth in the new economy. Please join us next time on the Wilson Wealth Show.